Greetings, greetings, greetings. Give honor to Source, to the Most High, for making all this possible. You could have been anywhere, but you're here with me. Yeah. Shout out to everyone. Give gratitude right now wherever you are. I'm just coming on here as a reminder to let everyone know, like, listen, wherever you are, I had to remind myself today, no one has it all together, bro. No one. For once, you see this photo of the child, right? Just imagine children who, depending on their upbringing, aren't literally prepared mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically before they grow into even what we call adulthood. I've been recognizing, like, just through my own observation from experiences with people, and also my own, like, self-revelations and moments I'm going through with myself, man, there comes a point on your journey, I know for me, where I told myself, I'm like, I got me here. Now, that's not to say that there wasn't support on the way, but what I'm getting at is, like, how I realize how important it is who's enabling and supporting what. Meaning, like, when you look at your family dynamic, when you look at your experience, when you look at your decisions, I have to ask myself whether it's, let's say, places that are, we can assume that's poverty stricken, or places that are environments that are don't have, let's say, said resources. One thing that I really highlighted the other day, I was learning more about, like, economics and basic economics, and one of the things that it points out is human needs. The reason I'm saying this is because when we're looking at what is it? I don't know why I'm about to say, I guess not just PTSD, but intergenerational traumas. You're also, the depth of the fact of decision making. Whether people want to, you can call it poor decisions, or poor decisions to me can be viewed as someone who's not aware of the decisions that they're making, realizing the effect it will have on them, and also decisions like whether making conscious decisions, knowing how it's going to affect this said child into adulthood, or affect this person into, in their own personal growth through child development. And again, I'm sitting here like, whoa. When I look at when I look at the fact of how the world is now seeing its own reflection, when I look at economically, the decline that is happening so rapidly from the forces at play, and even the fact of how the elders who are so tightly holding on to an economic system that they created, but that they're not realizing how the transition from things, whether the tangible aspect of monetary to digital, and them holding so tightly to even things like religiously or certain belief systems, and this is the clash that's happening. So where I'm getting at is, like, at some point in our lives, wherever we are, and this is important for even when we're younger, or like parents then and parents now, the belief system, the mindset. For me, I'm like, whoa, like, I'm telling myself, like, at a point in time, when was from being around certain people that did not take accountability, I tell myself, like, it really hit me to be like, yo, it took for you to make certain decisions, whether you knew that this will lead you to a life of being in said situation, or being in a position where you are. When are you going to accept full acceptance or accountability for your role, and then with that, the awareness around making more of a conscious choice towards the better, not only yourself, but the people around you, and how that will affect everyone and everything. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that that not so much just separates people, but divides people amongst themselves and in certain climates, is because, again, when I'm looking at the economic aspect of what's happening in human needs, I look at it on a deeper level, from personal experiences or even from my life, where if you don't have an economic system that supports the well-being of a child, that empowers the children in their individualism, that uplifts them even in their so-called mistakes, to remind them that they are better than what the decisions that they're made, that the decisions that they have made and so forth, that, like, still reminding them of the greatness that's within them. That the reason I mention that is because I've had to mother and father myself in ways to where I had to be reminded of the greatness within me, and still be able to have grace for myself and others, even after the fact, where you receive backlash from making said decisions because you don't want to conform to the old world narrative, or you're choosing to rewrite the narrative, and that can be very offensive, very triggering, very unnatural or uncomfortable for a lot of people. And this is where, again, the courage, the integrity, the authenticity, and even reminding myself not to beat myself up, because I want to prioritize. I was mentioning to someone doing things completely different and rewiring my belief systems, because what worked for them does not work for me. And so in that is sometimes can be very challenging, because I'm telling myself, like, well, how am I going to create a life around this? But at the same moment, I have no shame or regret, because I'm getting so much more clarity again of why it is I do what I do, and it fuels me even more, even in a world that doesn't want to accept it, or not even looking for their acceptance. So with that, I get inspired by the youth who I connect to so much, or see myself in, and I too still see myself in the elders, but it's more so like they're so far gone, or they're so wrapped up and consumed by their own belief system that it's not much you can really say anymore or even do. But in doing, you have to just be yourself. So even if that ruffles feathers, you still have to be yourself. And the only people who take offense to that are people who don't know how to really be themselves. Even in the fact that I'm learning, like, through transition of what's unfolding, how much I'm choosing not to conform and really focus more on my well-being more than ever. And sometimes it can be discouraging, because I'm like, well, is my moment going to come where all of this is going to make sense? And in reality, it already does, because I'm constantly reminded, again, as it learning more to be an observer, I'm sitting back like, whoa, like, I see the energy play out for a lot of things that I face. And one thing I've learned is it takes a lot of courage to take responsibility for your life. To my young men that are going to grow into manhood, or growing to have a higher awareness on life, know that every decision that you do make has the seeds that you sow will grow someday. And no matter what type of seeds that you assume that won't have an effect on not only you but others, it will, and it shall, because it's there to teach you something. And again, one of my biggest learning lessons I've been recognizing is economically, when you don't have the needs met, and it's not so just much of needs, it's more so the necessity of human interaction, or just simply being a human being, or the human experience being much better than what has been perceived. The human experience being much more harmonious, I should say, and abundant and prosperous, more than what the powers that used to be or what we've been given to believe and take on. And when I say that, it's like economically, when you look at demographics, class, all these things that divide people, all these things that put people in categories, put them in a place of, them remaining disoriented, disassociated, detached so much so that they forget about their purpose here, dysregulated, continue, cycles of dysregulated nervous system. We're talking about an economic system that enables or fuels that has fueled, and you see a representation of this throughout the world, a dysregulated nervous system or a chronic nervous system and so forth. So with that, you're seeing the overhaul. I've been seeing so much of, like, you went from building things with stone and brick homes, and now it's almost like the overhaul of trying to build things through greed and through gluttony of trying to have and get more and more and more. And it's like I see the mental illness and even the fact of that trying to be projected onto the youth and so forth. And in reality, they're only wanting to just be here and be themselves, and they already have a war fighting, within themselves, and let alone dealing with the world. So again, when I look at economically the needs of humanity, I'm looking at the fact of how can I, for myself, be a representation through my actions, no matter how uncomfortable it is for other people, for me to just be at peace through this transition, finding peace, being at a place more harmonious, no longer surrounding myself with people. Again, when I'm looking at what I've experienced through child development, when I look at the fact of even example of people that are darker, when I look at women in this country who are in certain demographics, when I look at economically on certain levels, the resources that they are given, the things that keep them at a dysregulated perspective or an uncomfortable position, I have to realize, like, the origins or the root of what has been fueling this. I sit back and I'm like observing, and more I'm recognizing, like, wow, was this intentionally done? Or even with that, how could I speak up, or how could I not fuel or unplug myself from that, what some may say the tricks of the matrix, or how could I remove myself from that way of enabling, whether consciously or unconsciously, that behavior pattern. And with that came with removing myself, again, being able to see clearly, like when I look at a mother that I came through, a grandmother and so forth, most of my experience of what I came through and came from, I'm recognizing, like, wow, economically on all levels, when I look at emotionally, mentally, spiritually, these aren't women that have been fed in a healthy way. Not only when you're talking about removing not protecting them, and how that trickles down to the sons, then you have a system that has been in place that doesn't protect anyone. As much as people want to think they're protected, as much as people even in different class think that their money protects them, all of that shit is a mere illusion. Some people will disagree, but that's fine. But at the same moment, there's coming a moment, the shift is here to where at a point in time where material security will protect you, because y'all prioritize that. Now the importance of emotional security protects you, because we're shifting from not just from a superficial aspect and gaining things so much materialistically. Again, from my perspective, as I gain more of a deeper perspective on my life, my experience, I'm able to connect to people on a more those who are disconnected and connected on a more emotional, intelligent level, because I've met myself even more deeper. So the awareness around that is like, okay, what steps do we make now to build not just a safe or protected environment or even economic system? We have to recognize what has not been supporting that. Like, come on the fucking real. When you see this image, some people see this image, and what's so powerful about this image is that I see this image that you see in the backdrop. I see that as a representation of the Divine Mother once again embracing her children, and that's of all creeds and all nationalities, because people on a deeper soul level have been manipulated, judged, or mistreated through all walks of life for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So when I'm talking about the energetic matriarchal aspect of how this wounded masculinity has been playing out through both matriarchal and patriarchal present day, the beauty of that is to remind people that we are embraced by the energies that are beyond this physical aspect. That's what has been protecting, I know, myself and also others. That's what I am a vessel for, to remind people that those who've had to mother themselves, those who've had to father themselves, there is a greater force at play now to remind us that we must embrace ourselves, and we also are embraced by something that has ordained or selected us to be here, to be in situations and family dynamics where we did not feel embraced or accepted or even seen. But I see you. I see you because I see myself, and there's something greater at play that sees me to allow me to be able to come home to myself. It's so funny because I'm realizing I'm in a lot of people's path right now, to where I have to, through my integrity of loving myself and being committed to my self-love journey, and I'm not saying it's perfect, it's more so I'm recognizing now, even more so, to where I mentioned how the Jupiter and Cancer transit is not only highlighting that which has enabled the dysfunctionality in both matriarchal and patriarchal, but it's highlighting the distorted mother, the mother who has represented the trauma and carried the intergenerational traumas, who carry the curses, but who also, that mother, carried the gifts, because they're one and the same in the aspect of realizing that she too had discernment. She too is magical. She too is amazing and beautiful and vibrant and miraculous in her own right. She just didn't see it. She just didn't want to do the inner work. She just didn't want to see herself, because again, we come from environments, and we're coming not only just a spiritual level, but emotional level, mental, and it plays out in a physical plane, to where you're seeing, look at how our mothers have been treated. I always highlight this because, again, when it's not so much of their needs are met, you're talking about you're wanting them to show up, and they've had showed up, not only with spiritual strength, but you're asking them to show up emotionally, and they're already emotionally dysregulated. They're trying to find ways to make sense of the distortion, and they're trying to find pieces that don't even fit together, and they're trying to make sense of a system that's trying to make them assume that they will fix their problems, when in reality they are the problem. So that's the dysfunction in the mental disorder that's in it, because it was never ordered. That's what this new order of things are. When you hear of sense of a new world order, the order of that is the women coming into their awareness of realizing how you haven't protected yourself. The world has convinced you through this false empowerment of the matriarchal to convince you to disarm yourself spiritually, to disarm yourself mentally and emotionally, and that has allowed us, as men, to not protect you, because you have not been aware of the importance of what it is to protect yourself, what that means on all levels, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, to guard your heart above all things. I forgot what verse is that. Like, I saw that it's like to guard your heart, and you haven't. You've been opening not only your womb space, but you've been opening your heart to everyone. And I know, I get it. It's natural for you to feel that way. But when are you going to protect it? I don't care if you have 10, 13 kids and so forth. There's women I've spoken to with multiple kids and multiple fathers, baby fathers. Guess what? I still remind them, like, this is, in order for us to face this shit and be able to heal, we have to have accountability. That has to come a point into your life. I don't care if you have 30 kids. There has to come a point into your life where you get tired of the learned behavior patterns. You get tired, and I know you are. And some of you don't know how, but I know you're tired. I can't sit here and fool myself no more. As much as I want to tell myself I want to just jump up and do a lot of things and so forth, I have to tell myself, like, it's not so much that my soul and my spirit is so much just tired. You have to realize, like, in this overhaul or this pushing of this economy so much, it's literally pushing people to exhaustion. Yeah, they're exhausted. Our mothers are exhausted. And what I see a shift in what will come to pass, or what will come into fruition, is that there will be economic system created to protect our mothers, for them to be able to sit and be with themselves. And when this is already happening, transpired, this is a new order of things. And what that allows is our sons to grow up safe and our daughters to grow up safe, and men who actually prioritize the safety and the protection and the covering of our mothers and our daughters, so we can, rebuild and reconstruct and reorder things and restore the balance of that spiritual and physical alignment with the relationship with self first. If you've had the disconnect that our mothers haven't had is that compassion for them, for their fucking self. When I can say, let's say women see this image, right? And you can put yourself where the child is. That can be triggering to some women who never have been embraced. For me, had I not gotten to a place within myself, this imagery, not just imagery, but words. When you're talking about economically, when you're talking about resources, it ain't just, we immediately go to material things. But what about an economic system that feeds us spiritually, that pours into us spiritually, emotionally, mentally, to empower our women and not degrade them and dehumanize them on the fact of, because of decisions that they made and the partners that they chosen and so forth. I was telling someone, I'm like, yes, the accountability comes in. You did choose that partner. Maybe you didn't know how to choose a partner, because guess what? You didn't even have direction or guidance to what it was to choose someone healthy. Okay, so now we're here, love. Now we're here. I too can relate to that. I didn't know what it was to choose someone healthy, because I didn't even know what healthy or holistic looked like, or even experienced it. It's not to degrade or devalue a partnership or person. It's to be able to recognize what I'm able now to shift and change within myself. It's for you. There are men, there are women out here that will love and accept women. But we want to degrade people and shun them because of what? And outcast them because they have multiple children, or by multiple, multiple men or women. Okay, but the awareness around that is that, where are the people holding these people accountable and saying, like, listen, man, can we hold off? Sit your ass down. There is a pattern here that you're not seeing. And I'm saying this because I've sat with this shit. I told myself, man, you know what? Ain't nobody else been doing this but me. The divine will give you that, because that's discipline. The divine will be like, hey, are you not seeing what you're doing? So how are you, what is it, insanity is expecting this same results. What I don't know. Insanity is like doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So the thing with this is, again, the accountability around not only coming to the awareness of holding ourselves accountable, but even the approach. I've had to learn this through loving myself, through acknowledging my wounds, through accepting a lot of things. I have to realize, like, hey, I've had to talk to people, because what I realized is that what I did not receive, I now value even more when people come along and remind me. No matter, and it has been very uncomfortable, even through therapy. You know, these are your decisions. We need that. People come along like, listen, what you doing? It's you. You're allowing this. And with that, again, we're coming from generations with no fucking boundaries. We're coming from people who did not establish healthy and holistic boundaries. As we were exposed, then there's a pattern of mama and daddy being exposed. Grandma and all them exposing them into, you know, whatever things, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, traumas. And then this passed intergenerationally or transgenerationally, whatever you want to call it, you know, ancestrally and so forth. So with that, I'm able to recognize, like, yo, we have to be the ones to create a different economic aspect or an economic approach. We cannot fucking depend on the elders, because they're codependent on their material security. They're comfortable in that. And anybody with eyes can see, if you're not paying attention to the depreciation of the dollar in over 50 years, nothing's the same, y'all. And nothing will ever be the same. This we're literally in the it's like apocalyptic, like seeing something like literally be destroyed, because y'all don't realize energetically this has happened within us and playing outward. I mean, you know, inward and outwardly it's playing out. And again, as I observe, I'm like, again, I'm not shocked at the fact that this is an economic system or people that have been in place that have not cared at all about the well-being of humanity, the well-being especially of our mothers, who carry every fucking nation and generation through their wombs. So why would I sit here and come along and be like, listen, there's women I meet and y'all don't realize the different perspectives. They're in different energies. They're some women I'm supposed to meet, and I have to realize through my development, you know, my reconstructing of myself, learning myself and so forth and deeper, that I'm met with even opposing energies of women who want to, let's say, I'll give you an example, want to, you know, be intimate on the physical level, but then I'm recognizing, like, no, I have to see the bigger picture. I'm not here to do that with you. At a point in time when I was not just immature, but when I wasn't aware of what I was doing because of the learned behavior patterns, I recognize them now. No, I don't want to come there. No, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want to do that. That's a beautiful thing for a lot of young men, I'm telling you, where you realize that self-sufficiency also allows you to be self-reliant on how you express and, you know, have healthy boundaries for yourself. We're not taught this shit young. We have these so-called illusions of what y'all idolize men to be and so forth, and that world is no more. I don't care what industry it is, that world is no more. Y'all allow your children to see, especially our mothers. I tell you, y'all allow your children, especially little boys, to see certain places, be in certain environments. And I know you feel like, from what you know, that you just want to give him this. He don't have a father, and sometimes you just want to give him this concept of this man of, you know, that you know really know nothing about, but he's a coach or he's this and he this. Again, that is value, but at the same time, like, it's deeper. Little boys learn different. They need that interaction with men, yes, but at the same time, they also need men. Some of these men, some of us as millenniums, only have seen in certain demographics in certain places men who hide so much behind their careers and status, or dope boys, or men who were put up in a pedestal to be idolized or to be celebrated in a way to where they modeled after this. Your kids are not to do the same thing in a way, because guess what? They'll end up at. They end up right behind bars, or they end up right alongside of, men who don't have a connection to themselves emotionally to even allow those kids to mirror back to them the importance of integrity, the importance of how your actions affect everyone in whatever you're building as a young boy into manhood. But still, again, these aren't men who are out here influencing them to hold on to their innocence, hold on to their the fun, and don't forget about you on your way through whatever you're going through. Because again, in a society that has pushed so much of gain what you have and step on others on the way up, that's not integrity. That's like, again, what I'm seeing so much of what's crumbling economically is that y'all don't realize and see that no matter, even through generations that had kept this so-called nation, so-called in power through the false empowerment, it's the very thing that's going to fucking destroy it. It's going to crumble within on itself already, because it's pushed the narrative again, how, and taught us what it is to obtain said success. But what is success to them is not success to us. Some of your kids and generation are just wanting to live, and I know some of y'all are working so hard towards it. You're wanting to give your child a harmonious life, a prosperous life. You want to give your child so much of what you didn't have, but at the same moment, you're forgetting about giving to your fucking self and trying to give to them. And guess what you're going to end up doing? That's going to be a resentment. I know it's so many things that I can cover, because people are like, well, where do we start? Where do we do this? You start with being honest with yourself. It's not about just going out there just trying to gather up all the information. You start by being honest with yourself. Especially our women. Y'all, I encourage y'all, you start by being honest with yourself and recognizing your behavior patterns, your learned behavior patterns. Asking yourself, why have you allowed yourself to forget about yourself? Why have you allowed yourself to carry the load that ain't even yours? Why have you allowed yourself to continue to mistreat you? And then when someone comes along and try to point out, like, hey, you know what? Out of concern, out of a part of loving myself, I want to let you know, like, listen, this is going to affect you more than you know right now. I get it. I've been there. I told you, I met with so many women with different, it's oppositional energy. Like, you tell a woman ask me about, disciplining her son. You got mothers out here that are single mothers, they don't know what else to do, because again, certain boys are completely different than operating with women. I mean, little girls. But what I'm getting at to the root cause is that when you look at things economically, when you look at things from the family, everything begins starting with self, and then starting with what you have learned through generations, and then you go to exactly the source of that, and then you see what you've been giving your energy to. Not just the relationship, which it starts with the relationship with yourself, but in that, look at the relationships around you. Look at the relationships that you built with other people. Look at your relationship with the system, the economic system, and ask yourself. And if you don't know what holistic means, ask yourself, am I building from a fearful place or a holistic place? And you'll be able to sit with that, and you will realize, then you'll be able to shift what's within you. And coming from a holistic place is a reminder that from that light that emerges from the dark is beginning with the darkness first. The parts of you subconsciously, the fears, the things that you didn't even realize that you've been so much in overhaul, so much in a place of trying to go here, do this and do that, and been distracting yourself from really facing you, from really seeing you. And by the time, like you see a lot of elders now that are 50, 60, 70, who are now, even through their so much of a disassociating from the reality of being present, Now they're being faced with it. The reality of how much they've given their life to a system, to their careers, hit high behind their status and money, whatever. Everything that they thought that was going to protect them, realizing there was no protection in it. Imagine that. And you got to ask yourself, do you want to continue that? Do you want to pass that torch, that emotional, that mental, spiritual, and physical belief system to your children? Because the thing is that in taking accountability and accepting where you are is realizing like, wow, I have the opportunity to rewrite this narrative. So again, I'm going from the economic aspect of things to going all the way to the root cause of things, beginning with self. Because there's so many levels. When you look at how a system has been built, it literally will crumble in on itself, beginning with what you see on all levels. Globally, which is economically, you will see in the communities, you will see so forth in so many places. So as an observer, I'm saying that like, I'm not at all surprised. It's scary, but at the same moment, what if I told you everything was going to be all right? This too shall pass. As anything else, you've got. And what if I told you that a lot of us here, by being at the tail end of, again, it's already the new order of things is already being displayed and being the seeds are being planted. But what if I reminded you like you've already gotten through the worst? We've already got through what has been perceived as the worst, because that's why things feel so much lighter. Things seem so much clearer. It's just now we're in and I get it collectively, it's like we're in a place of like almost, I didn't even realize I can be here at this place of like stillness or peace, or even just the awareness of like, I will live to see this. Because the powers that used to be, or the systems in place said a man that was darker wouldn't be able to see past 18, 21. Or, for you it could be something else. But I know for me, my experience, they said a man, he couldn't have, how he's going to be successful without being an athlete, or without being, a drug, all those narratives. And the whole time I'm fucking rewriting this. I'm rewriting it. I'm rewriting what love is for me and for what is a representation of a patriarchal. I'm rewriting it and not caring who accepts it. I'm rewriting the narrative around my life, my experience. Every day when I choose myself, when I choose to make more of a better decision, even with the awareness around I could have done things this way, but I'm gonna do it this way. And even with that, I know it's gonna piss people off, but what can I do about it? Nothing. I can't change or control them. And so for me, I'm like, that's the best experience. Wherever you are, rewrite the narrative. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you have 30 kids, don't matter if you starting over, don't matter if you live in a shelter, don't matter if you are, just lost a job. Any place where you at, rewrite the narrative. You have every opportunity when you rise to rewrite it. So I'm going to get out of here. Y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.